certainly it was a bit of a setback for us, and something that we reviewed pretty hard, and I think we've probably glossed over a lot over the last 6 or 7 weeks, and it probably brought us back to earth a little bit.
What's that mean when you face them again in the finals? I guess you won't be frightened of them, I suppose. You had a few out, I guess, and they were pretty full strength.
Yeah, look, I don't think so. I think at the moment it's 2-1 to us in our favour. So, but they're certainly a good team, and I think I've said over the last 7 or 8 weeks that they're probably the informed team and the best team that we've played, and I think they proved that on the weekend.
Do you feel as though did you guys get ahead of yourselves or anything sitting on top of the ladder to say you needed to be knocked down a peg? Or?
No, I think that they're a good team and they played really well. Their midfield carved us up, and I suppose we've probably been throwing a lot of players through our midfield, and to be honest, it's probably unsettled us a little bit trying to get that depth into our midfield, and we'll probably go back to our key midfielders this week and let them do their stuff. And I think we've thrown enough players through there that if we need to throw someone through there at different stages, we can. But their midfield was very good last week, and I think they showed us the way a little bit.
How does the playing group take a loss like that? I guess you guys can identify and you set up for the game. You feel as though you've got some work to do. Do they feel the same? Or are they?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And I think, as the coach, you take responsibility for the team performance. And to be honest, I've probably just been going through the motions a little bit as well. And I think that flows down to the players, and that was probably the result we had on the weekend. But you don't take things away from Launceston. They played some really good footy and dominated, and they probably beat us in our own game. So which was good for the team to have a look at.
Is that the challenge for you guys? I guess being in a position that you haven't been before at the top, and normally you've been chasing sort of the scramble those top sort of 3 top positions, that now you've got to reset and how to work out to play the back end of the season for?
Yeah, look, training Tuesday night was probably the best we've had since the start of the season, pre-season even. So, they responded well, and we certainly didn't go in there. It wasn't negative. It was all positive, and we certainly had a good look at Launceston and the way they played, and we give them full credit for the way they played, and it certainly showed some deficiencies in the way we were going about it. But I think we're getting scrutinised a lot more now that we're on top, and probably the players are getting matchups on them that we probably don't get normally. I don't think in the past we've had really that many matchups. They might match up on one player, but now they're probably going right into our midfield and our forward line and putting a lot more time and work into us. So we've got to be able to deal with that and change things up at different stages to get the right formula.
About the Tigers, mate, you presented a bit of a different challenge to this time last year, I guess, given their form recently.
Yeah, look, you look at the midfield in the top 5 teams, and they're pretty sharp. So if you have a lapse like we did last week and let them get on top, well, you're certainly up against it, and the ball will go into their forward 50 a lot more than it is ours. And so the Tigers are the same. They've got a really deep midfield, so we certainly will put a lot more time and effort into trying to nullify their key players and probably get our players playing the way they should.
What being in a position you've coached for so long, arguably a bit more advanced than what the Tigers were, but the belief that you've probably seen over the years when you start knocking off the sides above you and get into it, do you think you see that in the Tigers now that they're obviously a different proposition?
Yeah, look, I think the thing with the Tigers, they've had a couple of injuries through this year, and I think when you're still building to get in touch with the top couple of teams, you have a couple of injuries and you start bringing some depth in that may not be quite ready. They look like they've settled their team down a lot more. They might get Mickey Paul back this week, and that makes them very strong. So no, they'll cause a bit of damage going through the next 4 or 5 weeks and into the final. So we need to be on our job to ensure that doesn't happen to us.
What do you expect them to throw at you this weekend?
Well, I think they'll back themselves in. They run really well through the back half. They've got outstanding midfield that will win a fair share of their ball, and I think what they'll do is they'll go out and play their game, and obviously they'll have some plays and structures that they want to curb our influence on the game, but I think they'll more go out and just back themselves in like they did against North Lonnie, and I think they went a bit more one-on-one against North Lonnie and backed themselves in to beat a one-on-one, which they could possibly do against us and back their players in. But they won't come in and go defensive against us. They'll try and win the game and play their footy.
You talked about going through the motions, and you yourself said you were going through the motions a little bit. How do you break yourself out of something like that? What can you do as a coach to shuffle, to filter down to the players to get out of that just going through the motions?
Well, the first thing you can do to get out of it is you have a big loss like we did last week. Then you start reviewing the game a lot harder and not accepting, I suppose, performance away from where we want to play. And I think we're probably glossing over some guys doing things that maybe aren't the way we want to play within our structures. And I think that's sort of come back and bit us a little bit on the weekend against Launceston. And I think, I suppose you've got to put more into the game, and because we're winning, it's sort of got less and less, and let the players play footy, and which we've done over a long period of time. But I think they probably need a little bit more structure and a little bit more information about the opposition, which certainly comes down to our planning. So we'll certainly plan a lot harder this week and moving forward.
And Josh and Jake right to go?
Yep, both of them are trained well this week. Probably get Perkins back from suspension. Dodge won't play because he had some tightness last week, so we decided to give him another full week on the track and another full week next week before he comes back. So then let's see that he plays next week, or we put him on ice for the rest of the year.
So you said that he's been training, he trains back home with Collingwood, does he? And then he comes over. So are you obviously talking to Collingwood, the club, about his progress?
Yeah, so we've talked to their fitness guy, Sam, and he certainly given us updates on where he's at. So he came over last week to play on the Saturday, and he actually got a big knee clash during training, which rocked him a little bit, and then got some tightness in his hammy, so we decided not to play him again. So hopefully next week. So next week's the cut-off point anyway, so he's got to play 3 games, and he doesn't play next week. That's the end of the season.
How's the week off, mate?
Yeah, good. So we still trained, but it was a little bit lighter. We got away from the club to give the boys that break because I think, as I mentioned, we trained through our first 2 buys because they were earlier on in the year. So we did a bit of cross-training stuff, and then we came in Monday night as normal and had a couple of really good sessions. So obviously the vibe's pretty good and the energy's good around the group. So hopefully, we can take that into these last 5 games of the year.
Is it different going into a buy of such a good result as opposed to earlier in the year as well?
Oh yeah, 100%. So winning form's good form, but it just so many little things it improves. Around the club. Everyone's just good energy around the place, and all the little things that you've been doing. Everyone's just up and about. So it's really good feel around at the moment, and as it should be. So it's good.
How important is it, with a bite this time, you talked about having a bit of a light training session. It's important to have a little bit of a break and just get out the bubble, so to speak, and just recharge? Yeah,
that's it, and that's what we did last week. We got them away from the club, so the couple of sessions that we did weren't involving footy. So we did a bit of boxing, we did a bit of a pool session, and we just got out of our environment for a week. We're probably pretty lucky as opposed to some other clubs. We're on our ground from day one in November, so you just have to get away. So come June, July, when the weather turns a bit nasty and the nights get a bit colder, so just really freshen the boys' minds up more than anything. We kept their bodies ticking over, and you come back in this Monday, you're actually looking forward to it. So you want to be back around the group, you want to be back around the boys. So it's really good.
You got Lord off a loss, mate.
Yeah, it's pretty handy timing for that. But so it doesn't really matter, whether they've won or lost. It's going to be a tough challenge. They're top of the ladder, so they've been going really well, and I don't think, I could be wrong, I don't think they've lost a game at home this year as well. So, and that's a great challenge for our group. So we had a really good result 2 weeks ago, but we've got to put that to bed pretty quickly and have that next challenge, which is really good. So we saw North Lonnie, which has obviously won the last 2 grand finals. Lauderdale's played in the last 2, so we've got to keep rising to those challenges. We make a really firm sort of point of not trying to take any backward steps this week. So, we don't want to go backwards. We've got that scalp that we were after. So, we've got to go and go down to Lauderdale with that positive mindset and play our game and see what we can do and see if we can do it again.
Do you see this as like a mark of just how far you've come? Is this what you've been telling the boys this week, this would be a real test of how far we've come?
Yeah, I think it's more. I think we probably showed that in the last game against North Lonnie, like how far the group's come and what we've done, because we've been pretty open, and you guys ask me questions every week about beating a team above us on the ladder, and we were able to do that. So it's about the challenge now for our group is backing that up. Is not being satisfied. If 2 weeks later we're still patting ourselves on the back and talking about how good it was to beat North Launceston, we're in for a bit of trouble on Saturday. So, hopefully, that win has given us hunger for more, and know when we do what we're supposed to do for the whole 2 hours and concentrate and play our way, we can get the result against anyone. Which is, hopefully that's what we can take out of that game. But we've got to forget about it. We can't celebrate. It's only a regular season win.
Has that win against North Launceston, when you've been on the track this week, has it changed a little bit the boys' like mental awareness at training? Do you feel the sense of hunger growing there?
Yeah, I think the one thing about our group which is really good, because they're all such tight mates, and they've played a lot of footy together through the juniors, and they've been at the club through the hard times as well. They've always got good energy. Like, you walk in, they've got smiles on their faces, the music's on, they're in the gym, they're doing their thing before training. So, the energy and the vibe's always been good with our group. So, and it has been, I think, that's that hunger now to get better. And we have been getting better each week. We've been getting closer to those top teams, and, we've had more wins than we've ever had in the TSL before. So, yeah, if we can't have that hunger to want to keep doing it and get addicted to that feeling of beating good teams or beating anyone, you're probably in the wrong game.
Do you feel praying for a big run towards the finals?
Yeah, the one thing that we're doing at the moment, excuse me, is we're just worried about what's right in front of us. So we don't want to get looking too far ahead, thinking, about finals or anything like that. Yes, we're in a very good position to qualify, so mathematically that looks pretty good that's going to happen. There's still a chance that we might not, but all we're worried about is Lauderdale, or really all we're worried about is the next training session. We talk about, the next contest, what is it? So we've got to prepare really well tonight, take that into Saturday's game. Then whatever happens, win, lose or draw out of that, we put that to bed really quickly and then move on to the next one. So we can't start looking, we haven't earned the right to look too far ahead of ourselves.
What is the difference between the Glenorchy game and North Lonnie game 3/4 time? Because obviously probably been in that position a couple of times, you've had a chance to win, couldn't get it done, but you did that over the moment premiers. Was there anything in particular, either at the break or that happened early in the last quarter, that you thought, might be going on?
I think probably the one thing that we've done, I wouldn't say we've done it poorly, but even last time we played Lauderdale at the Twins, I think we had a pretty ordinary first half, but we got it back to, it was within a goal at 3/4 time, and then I think they kicked 7 goals on us in the last quarter. So, and the Glenorchy game as well, and they got that momentum when we'd worked our backsides off to get close to them. North Line, I think we kicked the first goal in the first minute. Elijah Reardon had a snap and we kicked the goal, but then North Line kicked 2 in a row, and automatically you probably start to think, oh no, trouble, here we go again. But it was really pleasing. It was really pleasing how our leaders around the ball stood up in that moment. I think Kieran had 10 clearances for the game. Matthews, Clifford, those guys, Marcus Gardner, that they really got us going, and we were able to curb their momentum and answer that goal. And I think that was the big thing for the group is, they realised, we can play with these guys. We've curbed that momentum, and they're starting to learn those scenarios and how to close out games. I think that was the pleasing thing, because North Lonnie came, as they would, they always do, and we were able to close the game out, so which was really good. So, that's that belief that we're talking about. So hopefully we take that from it when we're in that situation. When a team comes at us again, we know that we can do it.
Arch rival this week, mate. One of your arch rivals. What's the message back to the boys?
I'll probably continue on from last week. We played some good footy last week. We probably just missed a few opportunities, and when we had momentum through the third quarter, we just burnt the ball a couple of times. But we took a step forward last week, so it's really important that we don't take one back this week. Really good opportunity to go up against a really good team that got a good win last week, and you're right, arch rivals. So we, the game's going to be hot early, so that's something that the players can look forward to.
You spoke last time, I think you said that you hadn't really played on the Clarence Glenorchy rivalry, whereas PK had really pumped it up.
Yeah.
Does that change at all? Do you feel as though it's an opportunity, given that maybe a little bit weaker than what they were at that point in the season? Or?
Yeah, we pumped it up game day. We've probably gone away from not building the games up during the week with the younger group. It's more we do that in the game day. So we pumped the last one up at KG5 a fair bit. So yeah, we'll probably do the same again. I think the players are starting to gather some understanding of what the Glenorchy-Clarence rivalry is. We've got a completely new group, so that's going to take some time. But yeah, we're slowly starting to build and get the players to learn about the club. It's Clarence Glenorchy, but there's also a lot of other rivalries within our club, and also just learning the history and how Clarence have become successful is, I think, really important for our younger group.
What do you say, like, when you're pumping them up? Because, Jamie Ling doesn't mean a name, it doesn't mean much to the young kids, I suppose. I don't know who he was, so what do you actually...
Yeah, so you can get a past player in, you might find something that Kennedy said in the past, or you can do whatever, really. You can manipulate the situation into whatever you really want to. So there's a whole range of things you can do. It's not about shouting and screaming and those types of things. You know, to plant a little seed and, get the players to buy into something as well. So give them an emotional connection is probably the key to it, I reckon. So whether you can find something in the media that a player or a coach has said or whatever it may be, they've got to have a connection to the statement or to what they're doing.
Do you treat this a bit like, this is the last time we play your biggest rivals of the year? Do you treat this as a bit of a final? You really G them up for this is, treat this as obviously every week you want to win, but you treat this as a bit like a final? Yeah, a little bit. We've sort of put the last, I think it's 6 weeks was after the bye, we sort of wanted to build into the last 2 weeks of the season as our mini finals. So that's against North Hobart and the Tigers. Now this is step 2 of the 6 weeks, although it is an important step, and the next 2 weeks are big for us with Glenorchy and Lauderdale. So we can treat them as little mini finals, but as I said last week, it's about finding and celebrating little wins along the way throughout the game and in the game, and not so much looking at the win-loss column, looking at the little things that we've achieved during the week. And I think if we can do that, it's going to keep us really level-headed in where we're going. And I think we're going to grow quicker from that. So yeah, we could look at it as a little mini final, but there's no doubt the next 2 weeks are really big games for our footy club in Glenorchy and Lauderdale.
You do ins or outs?
We'll have a few, but we haven't finalised. Now I know all coaches say that, but generally I am pretty straight with who we've got. There's just some guys in our development that we're looking at playing, and one of the guys played I think he's been his best 6 weeks in a row. That's Aidan Jackman, so he's probably knocking down the door. Then there's a couple of other guys that have played some really good footy in a development league that we haven't quite caught up with yet. And then also there's some 50-50 stuff with the Devils still. So we're just unsure of where our group's at. And Jake Cox needs to train fully tonight to be right to play this week as well. So there's a whole range of stuff going on in the background. If you call me tomorrow morning though, I'll give you exactly who it is.
Did you see holding the reigning Premier's goals in the final term as an improvement? Is that something you really took as a positive?
Yeah, that was one. That was one thing we did take as a positive. I can't remember what the final score were, but it was a pretty defensive type game. But on the back of that, we've struggled to score this year. On the weekend we had 4 players under 10 games in our forward line that made up our forward 6. However, I actually thought our offensive ball movement and our structure was really good. It was just probably that connection kick inside 50 or breaking that half forward line that I thought fell down. But I did think that the way we played offensively was a massive step in the right direction, and off the back of that can help your defence set up behind the ball as well. So that's been a major weakness of ours this year, is our offensive ball movement and challenging teams offensively, but I thought we did that on the weekend, which improved our defence as well. So I know that's a little bit all over the show, but I thought we took some step forwards last week, but it's really important that it's just not a 1 week thing. We don't want to accept the loss. We don't like losing, but we did take a step forward last week.
All right, Simon, for you guys, how do you tackle it?
Yeah, it's a great challenge. Obviously, Lonnie are flying at the moment, aren't they? Probably, I think Windy called them the premiership favourites, and they're probably the form team of the competition. So it's just a great challenge for our group to come up against a seasoned side that's playing really well. So we're just going to keep trying to put that 4-quarter performance together. We feel like there was 2 10-minute lapses that really hurt us last week against Glenorchy. Obviously, the start of the last quarter was disappointing when the game was red hot. So, we'll just try to put that 4-quarter performance together.
When you watch Vision, is there anything in particular you think about Launceston that's gotten to this point of being the form team in the comp?
Yeah, look, we had a really good video analysis on them on Tuesday night, and they're scoring really heavily. The last 2 weeks, I think they've scored 19 and 20 goals for each game, and they score a lot of their goals in the back half. They transition the ball really well. So, and then they're a really good stoppage side. I think they score a lot of their goals from inside 50 stoppages. So, there are 2 aspects that we're going to, try to stem them, their ball movement and their dominance around the stoppages.
You've got a match up for Thorpe. Is that something that you might go to, or?
No. Actually, Bailey Walker will take him. So Bailey Walker's got a really good record on him. I think Bailey's, a 19-year-old, but he's one of the really good young key defenders in the competition, and he'll relish this opportunity. He's played on him 4 or 5 times now. Last year he played on him, this year he played on him, and he's got a good record. Obviously, Forbes kicked 7 on the weekend. He's in really good form, so it's going to be a challenge for him. But it's all about the ball movement. Like if Forbes getting it on a silver platter, there's not much anyone could do. So if there's if the midfielders that we're doing our job and they're doing their job and slow that down, then it'll make his job a lot easier.
So in terms of when you talk about Mitch Thorpe, it starts up the ground, further up the ground before it even gets to Big Bailey Walker's problem.
Yeah, absolutely. It's as I said before, if it's it's put there and he just takes the mark, it's not much anyone can do. So as long as there's pressure on those ball carriers, that's what we'll be aiming for.
Are you starting to see signs of improvement? Are you starting to feel a little bit more confident about the future going forward?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's no doubt that we're on the right track. I think wins and losses are the same as last year, but it's just a completely different feel. We're in games like down by 3 points at 3-quarter time. Lauderdale week 4 lost by 4 goals. So we aren't far away from getting a couple of scalps, and that's just what we're aiming for.
What means the outs for you guys, mate?
Yeah, obviously Callum Kilpatrick pulled his hamstring last week, and he's going to be a massive loss. I think he's had a great year. He's turned himself into a really damaging halfback flanker, and I think it's testament to Bear. Bear's put a lot of time in the players like Callum to see their improvement, see his improvement. He obviously represented Tasmania in the under-25 side, so he's had a great year. So he's going to be a big loss. So he'll come out. I think we might get a couple of one Devils player back maybe. So there'll be a couple of changes.
Is Akara causing upset? Maybe not. Obviously there's a race between you and Clarence on the same games. Is Akara maybe claiming a scalp not being the winning sprinter this year? Is that something you're talking about? To keep motivating him?
And it hasn't come up in any conversations. We obviously play Clarence again, so that'll might have a big impact. But obviously, we're going to every game thinking we can win and expecting to win, so there'll be no different this week.
Okay, mate. We said to Jez how much you guys pump up the rivalry, and they sort of have a little bit more, you said, towards the back end of the last time you played. But you're doing the same thing again this week, no doubt?
Yeah, we'll switch to that preparation tonight. And yeah, certainly every time we play, the people around, like, Danny Ling and Adam Henley and those guys won't let me, get through preparation for a game, with Clarence without really building it up. So, but yeah, there's the other side of it as well. Like we know that we've got to make sure we roll out and play a really good hard game of footy ourselves. We did that reasonably well on the weekend to get a bit of a turnaround, but we've got to back that up week after week now.
They're not, they've won one game, but they're better than that. I guess they've got to be on your guard, and pretty good last week, just said they improved a fair bit.
Yeah, I don't really take too much notice of where teams are on the ladder. Like, you've got to respect them. I think over the last few years, like since I started helping Proc out at Burnie, the disparity in the league has really condensed. It used to be there was a top bracket, a middle bracket, and a lower bracket, and there was big differences. That's not the case anymore. That's a good thing.
it creates extra work because you've got to really prepare hard for every team. So, we just go in respecting what they try and do, what they do well. And at the moment, we've got a real focus of getting back to doing our basics well too.
What did you take out of last week? I guess was it touched on there, good to get back in the positive direction after a couple of tough fortnights?
Yeah, it was. What did we take out of it? I mean, I thought, our contested work was much better. Our pressure game was much better. We had some really good passages of play, but that comes on the back of those two, facets where you put in the really hard work, and that opens up opportunities to play some good footy. The week before that in particular, we just hadn't done the work needed. Launceston outworked us, there's no doubt about it, and that makes it very hard for you to play the good footy when you're constantly on the back foot.
When you see Launceston come out and torch Longdale like they did, does it make you, make you feel a bit better? But, you always said that they're a good side and everything else, but they're clearly validating everybody's thoughts that they're a bloody good outfit.
Yeah, they're a good outfit. I mean, it's one of those ones where, they play a style where they can be patient, they can be quick, and they're very good at picking the hole in your defence and then exploiting it. And, we were like Swiss cheese on that day, and they picked us apart. I've only watched little bits and pieces of their game against Lauderdale, but they're very good around the contest. But they're pretty good at moving the ball too. And if you're not ready to defend, it's similar to North Launceston. If you're not ready to defend every time they get the ball, before they've got the ball, then they can do some damage.
Will Ray Banks-Smith get another tagging goal this week?
He hasn't been tagging as such. We haven't said to him, go out and lock down. What we've said is go out, you've got a good player, we want you to play one-on-one. So we'd still want him getting plenty of the ball. On the weekend, he was tremendous in finding that balance between, limiting the amount of really dangerous touches that Sam Daly got and then having some really dangerous ones himself. He had 8 score involvements and 5 score assists. So even though he didn't have a huge possession game, when he got it, he did damage. And so we were really pleased with his game. There was a maturity beyond his years with the way he went about it, because Daly had a really good first quarter. Damaged us a couple of times, and Bangor was able to make those adjustments on the go, take stuff on board and execute it, and that's not easy to do. There's a fair bit of that fog of war out in the footy field where there's a lot of stuff going on, so we're pleased with him. But yeah, he'll certainly play one-on-one with someone this week, whether it's a designated matchup or just the person that he gets in the midfield, he's going to try and play the same way.
Is there an obvious target? I suppose Sam's probably such a clear standout at North Hobart. Do Clarence have someone that you do think can be so damaging? Or
last time we played them in the second quarter, they made a really big charge at us, and just after half-time too. And Jeremy Webberley and Brady Jones were the two that really did some damage. They're two class players. Whether it be one of those, you've got to look at the physical matchup as well. Like Sam Daly's pretty quick, he's big and strong. Joby Harper's a big, strong one. So there were attributes there that fit with Bangor doing, matching up with those guys. So we'll work that out, but he'll certainly, if someone's getting dangerous, then, he'll definitely put his hand up straight away and go and match up with them.
How's Jay looking, mate?
Yeah, he got through. Yeah, a pretty good game. Again, it was sort of that quality over quantity. It was a high pressure game on a small ground. It was really slippery ground too, so it was hard to have that real quality all the time. But Jay, just gave us that bit of class at times. I think he had 7 or 8 score involvements as well. Even though he didn't kick a goal, he was really important to the way we moved the ball. So he's going well. It's just going to be a matter of managing his body every week now and trying to build him slowly. So come finals time, he's feeling really good. That's our aim for Jay.